The regular season has come to a close, and these are my 3 stars of the week. My first star of the week goes to Jahmyr Gibbs. He balled out in the biggest game of the year with 170 yards from scrimmage and 4 touchdowns. Jahmyr, he was the first Lion to lead the league in touchdowns since Barry Sanders. That's incredible. What a season for Gibbs. The Lions, they locked up the #1 seed in the NFC. Way to go. Next up, it's Ja'Marr Chase, who capped off a ridiculous season. He had 10 catches for almost 100 yards and a tutty on Saturday. Congrats to Ja'Marr, who won the receiving triple crown this year. That's right. He led the league in catches, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Incredible stuff. My final star of the week goes to none other than Mike Evans. On the final play of the game on Sunday, Mike went for over 1,000 yards. That's the 11th consecutive season in doing so. He tied Jerry Rice for an all-time record. What a season. What a career it's been for my guy. Mike, I'm looking forward to watching you in the playoffs. Great job. Those are my 3 stars of the week for Week 18.
All-around good guy. Florida State Seminole. I think of him as Pittsburgh Steeler, and of course a Mustang in high school, as you can see from the jersey behind him. All right, I'm going to just kind of flip around. We'll start with the NFC. Detroit is banged up and lost more people on defense. Minnesota looked vulnerable in that game. Jalen Hurts looks like he's coming back. Jordan Love says, I'm still sore. I'm not 100% here. Who is the best team in the NFC right now?
EK, for me, I have to go with the Detroit Lions. You talked about all the adverse situations they've been dealing with, but they found ways to win ball games. Let's talk about the balance on the offensive side. They have a 4,600-yard passer in their quarterback in Jared Goff, who's been overly efficient. They have 2 running backs that have surpassed 100 yards from scrimmage in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, who will be ready to go in the second round. They have 2 1,000-yard receivers in J-Mo Williamson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have balance. One of the best, if not the best, offensive line unit in the NFC, probably 1B if you're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions. And then defensively, EK, how are they so good? When you look at all the injuries, you have backups filling in for backups. You have third stringers playing significant time because they were dealing with so many injuries, but yet and still, they find ways to put the opposing offenses in uncomfortable positions. And think about this, EK. How many times in your days of watching football have you seen a quarterback throw 5 interceptions on the road and they still won the ball game? Think about that. And I'm talking about weeks ago when Detroit traveled to Houston. Remember that 5-interception game Jared Goff had? It didn't matter. They still won ball games. So when you look at the mindset of their coach, when you look at how they go about their business, how physical they are in the trenches on either side of the football field, and just a total balance, I have to side with the Detroit Lions. And oh, by the way, everything in the playoffs, I know you love Motown growing up. It goes through Detroit. So you better believe you better have some rhythm and blues playing because you have to go through Detroit to get to the promised land in New Orleans.
I do love Motown, that's for sure. My concern is I saw that defense, and everybody's giving them all these props. I actually think Sam Darnold was just terrible. And I think that if he hadn't hit Justin Jefferson, who was open, and they didn't make stupid plays and the other thing, and other than that, they have been exposed. I mean, Josh Allen ripped them. I wonder if playoff type of guys are going to rip that defense. I actually think it's Philly, but this is going to be what's fun. All right, I just mentioned Josh Allen. Who needs a Super Bowl the most of any player? Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or C, somebody else I didn't name?
Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, Lamar Jackson, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is having probably, EK, the best season we've ever seen from him. And that's hard to say when you look at how good he's been throughout his professional career. When you look at already, he's only 28 years old, EK. He has 2 MVP awards already, and he's on the cusp of potentially winning his 3rd, right? You look at what he's done in the regular season. His regular season record has been phenomenal. But two things for Lamar Jackson. Because of the individual success, the expectations, they're higher for him. And when you look at the lack of postseason success, Lamar Jackson has just as many MVPs as he has playoff wins. He's 2-4 in the playoffs. He has 2 MVPs. So when you look at what he's done in previous years, along with what he is currently doing right now, it's Lamar Jackson for me because as an individual, he's been better than Josh Allen. He has higher expectations than Josh Allen because he's been better than Josh Allen.
Yeah, I could make a case for Lamar Jackson. I lean Josh Allen because, again, Lamar Jackson has 2 MVPs. Lamar Jackson is going to the Hall of Fame. Right now, Josh Allen is probably the best player I've ever seen at quarterback that doesn't have any MVPs and any Super Bowl rings or even been to the Super Bowl. Like, he's Lamar Jackson without the MVP.
You know why Josh Allen doesn't have any MVPs? Because of Lamar Jackson.
Right. And if Josh Allen got a Super Bowl, that changes his entire narrative. It's close. Those are the 2 guys to me. I was hoping you'd say something. To me, it's those 2 guys would benefit more than anybody else. All right.
I agree.
Now, let's take their 2 teams out because they're both very good. And Kansas City out. And Detroit out. And even Philly. Who's the team that would surprise the general public if they show up at the Super Bowl that wouldn't surprise Brian McFadden if they show up at the Super Bowl?
Well, the team I'm going with is probably the team that has the quarterback that we would love to get in a bar fight with, and that's Baker Mayfield. One of the feistiest quarterbacks in the playoffs is Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that is the sleeper team that can really move some tables and throw some chairs over and cause chaos in the playoffs. And it starts with the quarterback in Baker Mayfield. His attitude fits his persona on the football field. An outstanding year. Look at those numbers, EK. He had 41 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, 71 completion percentage. He's been outstanding, and he had to do so missing some key contributors on the offensive side. But the thing I love about this team, they're battle-tested. They still have that championship-like pedigree because they have a few players that were a part of the championship runs when Tom Brady was there, not to mention the coaching and Todd Bowles. But also, too, look at this, EK. They're the only team in the playoffs that has currently beaten both Detroit and Philly. Remember, they went to Detroit and beat Detroit early in the year. Remember, they beat Philly there in Tampa. They're not afraid of any of those teams. And we consider those 2 teams to be the best in the NFC and 2 of the best teams in the National Football League. But they went toe-to-toe with those said teams, and they beat them. And they're playing with an abundance of confidence right now. So that is a one team when you look at a team that's not considered one of the best in the playoffs in either conference. But a sleeper, I think it could be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's a great answer. And you're right. They beat both teams. I forgot about that. And, again, they lost Chris Godwin, who's having an unbelievable year, and they just keep persevering. And Baker Mayfield, I always say this to, I use him as an example to my kids and friends. You're allowed to get better in life. You don't have to be at 30 who you are at 25. You're allowed to improve in life. You don't have to be the same guy your whole life. You can be a better man at 45 than you are at 40. You can be a better man a year from today than you are. Baker Mayfield is a better NFL quarterback now than he